Hello everyone, it's me, Rory Paddock, and obviously John Arnold from racingdaily.com. It's episode 4 of On the Nod here at Royal Ascot. It's day 4, it's Friday. Yesterday couldn't have gone much better. It allow us to have a few seconds of at least being able to brag. Putting on the screen yesterday's selections that myself and John gave. Charles Darwin, obviously it's an odds-on shot, we can't boast about that too much, but that did as expected and ended up winning. Next race, John put up Serious Contender, who ended up placing at a decent price. 340, we both went for Garden of Eden, who did well for the Ballydoyle team and Ryan Moore once again. We then headed to the Ascot Gold Cup. John was very strong on Trawlerman, and that absolutely obliterated the field. The nearest thing to it was Illinois, so therefore it meant my reverse forecast also came up. The 5 o'clock, we both gave Fear Not, who did well to place in the big handicap there. 5:35, we both gave Trinity College, and that duly obliged. And then in the last, I'll take a little bit of credit. Never So Brave. Now, to be fair, I threw 4 horses at it, so, I'll take it with a pinch of salt. But I'll take the win. Never So Brave, that was back down into about 4-1. And Holguin ended up going close and picking up prize money and a place at decent odds. So, can't really say much better than that, John. So let's get stuck into day 4. It's Friday. Obviously, we're going to start with the first race. It's the 2:30. It's the Albany. Where am I going to go? Fairy Oak, I think, finished second in a maiden against Colts. And she was sort of sandwiched between 2 really solid Ballydoyle horses. I think the fact that now she's up against her own sex and has Colin Keane booked for the ride, I think she could spring a shock. That's Friday Oak. Richard Hannon has done well with his youngsters over the years, and especially at this meeting before. And I'm hoping Indigo Dawn can improve on her victory where she was super green last time out. I think she's going to come on massively for that. Those are just 2 I'm going to throw out there just in the opener, both at big prices. Again, small stakes, just a bit of each way interest. But I'd be happy to go with those 2 against the field. And hopefully they can, at least one of them go well. Hopefully at a big price. The Albany, John, where are you going?
2 in it for me. The first one is at a decent price. Awaken, about 25-1 it is this morning. That was half a length behind Gold Digger on its debut at Yarmouth. And I think the form has worked out quite well for that race for me. So I quite like the look of that, Awaken. And might be the boring selection, but Signora for Moore and O'Brien. The horse will go off as favourite, and they've had a good time this week in the lower aged races. So for me, Awaken ran a good race, and at 25-1, I think it's a good price. So it's Awaken each way and Signora to win in the 14:30.
Fantastic. That's our thoughts on the Albany. Then going to head to the Commonwealth Cup, 3:05. I'll let you kick things off here, John. What's your money on there in the Commonwealth Cup?
Yeah, see, everyone will look to the performance of Shadow of Light, and Shadow of Light ran a brilliant race in the 2000 Guineas, and I thought it was going to win at one stage, and I was with it. Rudin Court obviously came and caught it at Newmarket, and they've waited for this race now for it to go and get its group race on the board. So I'm very keen on Shadow of Light. I think it will put in a big performance, so I back that to win because it's quite a short price. Another horse each way would be John Kill, because John Kill is coming back to 6 furlongs, and it actually did well against Rashabar, who raced at a higher level. And Rashabar's got form against Henry Matese and Field of Gold. So I think John Kill at about 6-1 this morning is a good price as well. So the 2 in the race for me is Shadow of Light and John Kill.
Yeah, I couldn't put anyone off either. I think from a personal perspective, I think if Babouche goes well, then my nap of the festival, who actually runs tomorrow, runs on Saturday. We'll see the form line gain some sort of added strength. So again, if Babouche goes well, I'll be more confident about my selection tomorrow. Stay tuned for that tomorrow if it runs. So, personally, I hope that goes well, although I can't necessarily have it in this race. That's just sort of sidebar. Obviously, like you said, you've got Godolphin Shadow of Light, who has obvious claims, and so does John Quill, like you mentioned as well. I think a decent outsider, Big Mojo, perhaps as a solid a solid outsider's chance. And then the overseas raiders that we see in there, I think She's So Spicy could blast out and fend off any late charge. I think that could just be one of those horses where it'll be fly by the seat of your pants, burst out the stalls, and just hope that it lasts home if you fancy that. Again, I don't think, again, just like the first race, I don't think I've got any strong fancy. It's not a max bet, get out all the change in your wallet and throw it on this. Just out of a bit of interest again, I'm going to go She's So Spicy. Hopefully, blasts out of the gates, gets a 5 or 6 length lead, and nothing can catch it. Whether or not that happens, we shall see. Hopefully, with Oisin Murphy, but that boosts its chances. She's So Spicy. Again, small each way play, just for a bit of interest in the Commonwealth Cup. 3:40, we've got the Duke of Edinburgh. Those with obvious chances, we've got War Rooms, Alma Sher, Hand of God, Ethical Diamond. I think those are probably the quartet that are going to be there or thereabouts, certainly near the head of the market. But I'm not sure how to split them. So I'm siding with an Irish duo who I'm hoping could go well at a much larger odds. Again, similar to the first 3 races, small stakes, each way plays on horses at bigger odds. Both hail from Ireland, both competed in group or listed company last time, both returned to handicapping with decent ratings off decent marks. I'm going to go with Johnny Murtaugh's Siege of Troy and Jesse Harrington's Satin. I think those two will do for me. I think they've got decent form in the book. I think they'll appreciate return to handicap company. And I think both could go well at a price. It obviously was a really, really competitive handicap, as they've all been at Ascot so far. Again, horses that that have certainly have obvious chances, higher up the market. But I want to avoid them just because it seems like an absolute minefield in terms of deciphering it. 2 at each way prices. Siege of Troy and Satin. What about yourself, John?
Yeah, I mean, Murtaugh spoke of some of his runners yesterday, and he hasn't really hit the mark yet this week, but he has been confident that he will get something, I think, out of the festival altogether. For me, Mullins is due to have something in the places, so I like Ethical Diamond, and more rides well for Mullins at the festival. And French Duke is an interesting play. He's had course and distance form, and this is only his 3rd race coming into a handicap. He was unlucky at the festival last year as well, and with Doyle riding for Varian, and this is a Watanan horse as well, and they've had a very good week too. I would go with French Duke. So the 2 for me are Ethical Diamond and French Duke.
Yeah, couldn't put anyone off Ethical Diamond. Obviously ticks all the right boxes in terms of connections, rider, decent bit of form as well. 5 o'clock, we've got the Sandringham. 4:20. I apologise. Coronation Strikes. You've got the unbeaten Falakea, and then you've got the French 1,000 Guineas winner Zarek Garner. Those are the 2 that obviously stand out above the rest. I couldn't be drastically confident. And again, another race where I don't have a really strong opinion. So just one for a bit of interest. In the 1,000 Guineas, I think the horse that finished 5th, Chantilly Lace, I'm hoping she'll have learned a lot from the Newmarket run. Lace looks a slightly weaker contest, I could argue, than the 1,000 Guineas. And again, I'm just hoping that she ends up in the money again. At least there or thereabouts, nearer first than last. Chantilly Lace, again, not a majorly strong opinion. I think the 2 horses that stand out are standout horses, but I don't know if I could back them with a great deal of confidence. I think they still have room to, I guess, prove their worth. This will be their coming out parade. If one of them goes and absolutely demolishes the rest in this race, then it's fair enough. You've got to sort of hold your hands up and go, well, it's done the business, and the hype was real. But because I'm not as confident, again, small stakes, each way play, Chantilly Lace there in the 4:20. Yourself, John?
Very keen on Falaka. I mean, I really thought the horse was going to run in the Oaks, but it didn't after a really good showing in the Pretty Polly. And if it's back and they've supplemented the horse for the race, then it should put in a good show. It's got the ideal straight course as well. So I think it's good. It's good going the way of Falaraki. I really like the horse, and they are due to have a result this week. Owen Burrows had a good run yesterday or 2 days ago, I think, from Animat, ran a good race. So I think that Farak's a good bet. Another one not to discount, obviously, is January, because we know O'Brien and Moore have got form in all of these races, and January is a good price at 6-1. And if any of them front two blow up, especially the French horse might not like it, then January could come and fill one of the places. So for me, it's a Farak to win, but January as an each way play as well.
Brilliant. 5 o'clock, Sandringham now. We've got the 5 o'clock. Mojave River wasn't completely out of it in a Group 3 last time, and now is making their handicap debut. More could be expected, despite not being, I guess, the most prolific, you could say. Could be one that places at big odds. Garter is my other, I think, who went a close second behind a very impressive looking Godolphin horse 2 starts back before going on to win last time out. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Nothing with really, really strong, nothing that I'm really strong on in this race. 2 horses, again, small stakes, each way play. Hopefully they go well at a decent price. Mojave River, and the other one, Zagata, there in the 5 o'clock at this Sandringham. Yourself, mate?
I like Miss Nightfall, James Fanshawe with Sheen Murphy riding that. I like the look of the form for Miss Nightfall. And another one is Betty Clover. Betty Clover is Buick riding for Eve Johnson Horton, and that's had decent ratings as well. So for me, yes, Miss Nightfall and Betty Clover, the 2 for me in the 5 o'clock.
Brilliant. 5:35. We've got the King Edward VII. There's 2 that are sort of vying for favouritism at the moment. Obviously, you've mentioned earlier, Johnny Murter is hopeful that he picks up a bit of prize money before the end of the week. They've got Zaran, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not convinced the form of his listed win is that strong. So it's not one I could be confident with. Ralph Beckett's horses have disappointed so far this week. So Amilok is a Ralph Beckett horse there. Perhaps a bit of a head scratcher. Despite the fact I've gone for a Ralph Beckett horse earlier in the day. At those odds, I couldn't be with his one then, Amilok. Again, no real confidence in this race. So, perhaps I'm swayed by the fact that it's connections and stuff like that. But Puppet Master each way for me. He was less than 2 lengths behind the Derby winner 2 starts back. Won well at Lingfield last time out. Looks to be on the up. This is the sort of race that potentially you'd see, an O'Brien and Moore duo come out on top. Saying that, you could say that about every race of this meeting, couldn't you? So, yeah, Puppet Master, each way play, I think, is around 9-2. Hopefully it ends up going on to win. Just purely because I'm not as convinced about the top 2 in the betting. Yourself, mate?
I don't need to repeat what you said. I wrote down Puppet Master, and I did read that it was 2 lengths behind the Derby winner. So I don't need to add any more. Amalok's form, yes, is a little bit. I'm unsure of that, and yeah, Beckett hasn't really shone this week. So I'm going to go with the same as you. Each way, Puppet Master.
There we go. Finally, we've got one that matches. And lucky last, we've got the Palace of Holyrood House. Going to be a bit boring in the sense that I think Realign looks to the one to be on here. It's currently around 9-2. Demolished his maiden opposition at Salisbury. Should appreciate, I'm hoping, a drop in trip. And looks one of those horses who's, you don't want to over-egg a horse until it's actually delivered, but it's one of those horses that perhaps could be a group horse disguised in handicap company. Makes its handicap debut. Wathnan Racing owned. Again, ticks all the right boxes. We'll have to obviously step up on what it's done so far. It's only won a maiden. But in a race like this, I think it's got the potential to go well. And just to throw another one in the mix, just because it's such a big field, another much bigger odds is Bodie Bear. We saw the Stack team go well with a selection 2 days ago, did well to finish placed in a big race. Hopefully that yard's starting to hit a bit of form. This horse just looks a consistent sort of type. It's not really done anything wrong in its career so far. Seems to always produce some sort of promising run. And I'm hoping it can step up a little bit and do the same. Roughly about 20, 25 to 1. Small stakes each way play there. But of the two, I think it's safe to say Realign is the much stronger fancy in the last. What about yourself, mate?
Yeah, Realign. I wrote that down this morning, and predominantly because, like you said, it seems to be a horse that's hiding in a handicap which could race at a higher level. It was entered for the Commonwealth Cup actually, and it was beaten by Shadow of Light before on a previous run. So I'm with you on Realign. And the other one I've pulled out of this race is for the Crisfords and Oisin Murphy, horse called Adrista. That returned well at Windsor in its last run, and I think it's 6 to 1. That's a decent each way bet as well. So yeah, I really like Realign, and the other selection for me is Adrista.
So those are our selections for all 7 races on Friday. Hopefully we can produce another demolition job like we did yesterday. Fingers crossed and touch wood. As always, any likes, comments and shares, very much appreciated. Hopefully we can have another successful day. Make sure you follow us on socials and also head on over to racingdaily.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again for the final day tomorrow.